Take it away, James.
Hola, mi amigos.
No. Theme music.
No, he didn't. He's not doing very well with this, is he?
No.
He's all over the shop today.
That was all you.
I
I thought there was like a really obvious way you could go with the theme music this episode, but alright, never mind.
Copyright! Don't want to get done for
You can't
copyright.
get done for copyright.
We
by
could.
coming. Yeah.
We probably could. What I do is perfectly adequate.
Moving on swiftly. Hello and welcome to Films I Should Have Seen, the podcast in which we watch and discuss movies that are either considered popular or high regarded that we may have missed in the past. My name is Ross, and with me as always is my co-host Sean.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
Alright, I'm in a mood now because I criticised
Yep.
you of even... Alright. Right. So, for episode 6, we watched episode 5.
Oh,
Go back to the
We
start.
ruined it, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, Well, we started with episode 4, so... Because we started this podcast with Star Wars A New Hope, because Sean had never seen it, which is a travesty. So, we're going to make our way through the series, and this time around, we went for episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, which is my favourite Star Wars film, as it is a lot of Star Wars fans. You enjoyed the first one when we watched that, if I remember correctly?
I enjoyed this one much more.
You enjoyed this one much more?
Yeah.
I was going to say, what are your
It
feelings
seems like they
on...
ironed out a lot of the school drama.
Right, okay.
You know,
Okay.
the amateur-esque side of it. And it was like the lightsaber scenes and things like that. There was much more flowy. And
Yeah.
looks like they put a lot more work into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you look back on A New Hope, the first one you watched, at all before this one? Did
No.
you think about it? No, so you kind of just...
Went back into it. We had a little recap, didn't we,
Yes,
at the
we
beginning?
did, yeah.
And then from there went straight back into it.
Okay, that's fine.
Well,
So the first thing off the bat then, he likes the film.
he likes it.
He likes it.
Just a quick bit of information here is obviously Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980 and it had a budget estimated of $18 million, which is almost double, really, what the first one had, which was $11 million. So nearly $20 million. But just having a look on IMDb, I find this very odd because the cumulative gross, worldwide gross of the first Star Wars is 775 million. That's rounding down. Whereas Empire Strikes Back is only 247 million.
So do we believe these facts?
I don't know if that's probably contributing of... I'm going to put it down to the first Star Wars has probably been re-released in cinema a lot more than Empire was, but that still seems like a big difference.
Big difference.
But I could see the first one making more money.
I knew the first one made a lot of money, and obviously seeing that the budget's there is 18 million, it seems hard to believe that that's all they gave them, considering how much money the first one made. But then again, I suppose...
Well, they didn't give them anything. George Lucas didn't want to be constrained by like studio demands, so he financed the film entirely by himself.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Well, most of his own earnings and a bank loan, but he managed to pay it back many times over.
Many times.
So, yeah. Well, like I say, it's my favourite of the Star Wars films. I do think, like what you said, is they managed to polish things out a bit better. I think by this point you know the characters, so it's kind of letting those characters play around with each other a bit more rather than just introducing each other. Don't make that look. Although that does happen a bit in this film between Han and Leia. But I think they step up the storytelling. The first one is very much just kind of classic good versus evil. I think this one has a bit more layers to it, and it does sort of take itself a bit more seriously. And one thing I really like about Empire Strikes Back is it actually seems more like a war for a film called Star Wars than the first one did.
That's what I was going to say. Like the first one, there is the battles and things like that, but they're introducing everybody. This one, they are telling the story still, which you're following, but there's constantly a battle going on. So you're understanding that it is a war. It's not just, here's the story, middle section, here's a bit of a battle.
Yeah.
Let's carry on with the story again. It's just constantly flowing, which I liked about.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that statement.
Any more thoughts? Sir?
Any more thoughts on top of that?
No.
No, carry on. Go.
Bloody hell. All right then. Yeah, so you say you enjoyed this one more. Would you say this is a good film though? Like, do you think this is deserving of the hype that it's got over the years? Because obviously Star Wars is such a big and beloved franchise.
Yeah, I think I said it in the first episode, like, I couldn't see how much hype the first one got from watching it now, in this era. But watching the second one, I think if that had been the first one, then you could have understood it a bit more, I think.
Okay, yeah, because I've always thought it was a bit funny. I do look at it as, it's a franchise that I love, but I'm very well aware of it is kind of cheesy and it is kind of dated a bit. So I do think it's one of those things of like, if you didn't grow up on it and if you didn't watch it when you were younger, I imagine it is difficult to watch as an adult and kind of get why people love it. I do think Empire is a lot easier to like fall in love with than Star Wars. But yeah, I do kind of get the watching it after all these years without seeing it before and without having like kind of any affinity to the movies.
Quick question. In the first one, you told me to watch out for the CGI.
Right.
Did this have any remastered CGI or anything? Because I was looking and
Yes.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
see
but
much.
it's a lot better integrated in this one than it is in
The first one.
Yeah, because in A New Hope you have like real gratuitous things like a very badly CGI Jabba the Hutt who was never there and stuff like that. It is very like kind of minor aesthetic stuff in this one. Like all the shots in Cloud City, in the original cut there was no windows or anything in Cloud City, so everything was just enclosed hallways and stuff like that. So one of the things they added, which a lot of people do agree is actually one of the few good things that was added, is he went back and added in all of the windows. So Cloud City seems bigger and less enclosed, and you can actually see outside and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just like kind of minor shots like that, like
and like when the Falcon comes to land, that's clearly a redone into Cloud City, a redone CG'd part of it. But it works. It just
it works
does
a lot
help
more
of
this time.
them,
That's what I said. I was trying to look out for obvious things, and there wasn't anything too obvious compared to episode 4.
No, I think episode 4 does kind of get the worse end of it when it comes to his additions.
Yeah, all the creatures on.
Like someone been playing around with Photoshop for the first time. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't very well done.
Yeah. Do you want me to say things? You keep looking at me.
You're not really.
Well, no, I'm only being reserved because
you hate this film.
No, I put Return of the Jedi above Empire.
Do you?
Yes, I personally do. I think the way the story ties off in those three, I think it just puts it above Empire Strikes Back for me. So that's why I'm just a bit like, okay, I'm just gonna, because obviously I don't want to give too much away to the third man here, because again he's not seen that one.
Is that one next?
That's the next one. The next one is Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
That like ends the original trilogy.
Yeah. And then the 3 films that came after that are the prequel ones, episode 1, 2, and 3.
It is important to note, and I'm sure we did mention this when we did the first episode, at this point the films were not numbered.
No.
In fact, I think it was with the release of Empire is when they went back and added A New Hope as a subtitle.
Yes. Originally it was just Star Wars. Then when they did this one, they titled this one The Empire Strikes Back, and that's when they went back and called that one Star Wars A New Hope.
Yeah.
I believe it was only with the inclusion of episode 1, 2, and 3. That's when they titled them 4, 5, and 6.
It's very confusing. Well,
not really confused. Once you explain,
once you get it. Yeah. It's funny we were saying like I said, this is my favourite. You disagree?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't disagree. I just put Return
Okay.
just above it.
But yeah, it's funny because George Lucas initially thought this was the worst Star Wars film and apologised for it. But he changed his mind after he found out a lot of people do consider it the best.
The best one, yeah.
Yeah. So I find it interesting like that. I can kind of see where some people might be a bit down on it, because whereas A New Hope is very hopeful, pun intended, it is that classic good guy versus bad guy. The good guys win. You could theoretically end at A New Hope and it is a story from start to finish. You can just see the Death Star as the Empire being defeated. Whereas I think Empire has become known over the time of this is the dark one. This hasn't got a happy ending. Han's in carbonite. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Obviously, Luke's lost his hand, just found out that Vader's his dad. The Empire's grip seems to be like closing in on the rebels. So, yeah, this was... And I think that's why I kind of like it more, because I do like the kind of... Like you say, they're constantly in the middle of battle. Like, there's not a moment, really, of rest in this one. So you do kind of... Throughout the film, you feel the tension because there is no stopping. Especially when you're following like Han, Leia, and Chewie and that lot in the Falcon, who are just constantly on the run from the Empire. Then they finally get like a moment to stop at Bespin, and then suddenly Vader's there, and yeah. So I really like the darker turn this one takes, because I feel like it does this, because of the way it does that, it then does set up Return of a Jedi really well.
Yeah.
Because like I say, you can end the first one there, but with this one, you kind of want to know what happens.
The story needs the end of it. It needs that last part to tie it all off. It needs Return to come in and do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. But
that moment when he reveals himself as his father as well.
There's
that bit where I'm sat there going, go on, join him. Join him.
Is that something
Let's see what that angle would
knew
like.
Before?
No, I knew. Yeah.
That wasn't a shock to you.
It's a popular spoiler.
Yeah, that's fine.
Especially when it's used in a lot of
Often
advertising.
misquoted.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely misquoted.
Pinch me. Fun fact. That's
sorry.
Well, then.
stupid idiot.
Stupid idiot.
Yeah. So how did... As someone who knows that twist, because like you say, it is very popular, everybody knows that twist. How did that scene play out for you then? Like, obviously, you knew what was coming. You knew there was going to be the reveal that it's his dad. Yeah. But how...
I knew there was the reveal, but I didn't know when it was. Until when I was looking at facts on Google.
The internet.
Yes. Then I saw which scene it was, so I knew it was coming up. If I hadn't have...
Why did you Google
searched,
facts before you'd finished watching the film?
No, it was at the beginning. I like to do a bit of research, Ross.
Yes, but if you do the research before the end of the film, you're spoiling it for yourself.
Yeah, well, I did this time, didn't I? I've learned. Last time I didn't. So,
anyway.
Yes. So it gave me the clip where it was, and I was sorry. If I hadn't looked at that, I wouldn't have seen where it was, so I'd have been surprised.
But do you still think the scene worked well,
yes,
or was set up well, or did you think...
No, I think it was the right time and everything, yeah.
Yeah. Because there is a leading theory, a long-going theory that this was a last-minute kind of change for Lucas. I think there's enough evidence in place to suggest that it wasn't. I think the one thing that does seem like it may have possibly not been there from the start is the whole Luke and Leia thing. I think that has. I believe that more if I found out that was a last minute change.
That feels like it was tacked on, because I don't know if they maybe thought it's too long until Lando comes in and Lando tries to be all smooth talker with her, so do they feel they had to have it there present in the entirety of the film? I don't know. I don't know. I have, you probably knew it yourself, but I have a fun fact about the lightsaber fight. It's probably something you didn't pick up on, but right at the beginning of the fight, you'll notice Luke holds a lightsaber two-handed, whereas Vader holds it one-handed. As far as I remember, George Lucas was adamant that everyone holds the lightsaber two-handed, but I don't know if it was something they agreed on or David Prowse did himself, I'm not 100% sure, but he was using it one-handed to show how prominent and how powerful Vader was in combat with the lightsaber. So if you go back and look, he's one-handed with it and he's very much pirouette, very elegant with it, but it's because he wanted to show how powerful he was. And you'll notice he disarmed Luke at one point in that fight. He knocks the saber out of his hand. He does the same movement again to when he cuts his hand off, because he didn't expect Luke to be able to not get out of it, but obviously he let him knock the saber out of his hand, but Vader learned quickly that's why he cuts his hand off the second time.
I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah. If you go,
So I always find it interesting watching that scene though, because like you say, he for the majority of the fight, he is one-handed.
he is one-handed with
But
it.
I've always seen it as like at the beginning of that fight, he's toying with Luke. But then as they go through it, he realizes that Luke isn't as weak as he suspects. That's when he does start to
Go a bit more
be a
aggressive.
bit more
with it,
aggressive.
yeah.
He does start to hold the saber with two hands
Yeah.
at some point. But no, I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
The bit on where Darth falls off that platform as well. He could have put a bit more dramatics into that. It was
Well, you can't blame it.
But yeah, that's just one nice little fact about that. You can tell as well in David Prowse's performance now, he knows that he isn't the voice of Vader. You can tell he acts it a lot better to give James L. Jones the clues of when he should be saying things. You go back and watch A New Hope and you can tell the way he's acting isn't the way it would have been spoken. Yeah. So it's a lot more convincing, I think, this performance of Darth Vader. It just is. You can just tell in every scene the way he moves, everything.
Yeah, and I think that does come into that. I think this is the film that really sets Vader up as one of like the great movie villains.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, in A New Hope, he doesn't really do a lot. Like, even his fight with Obi-Wan is pretty downplayed and stuff like that. I think in this one, like, he has so much more of a presence to him, and he has this calm demeanour all the way through, but, like, you get how intimidating he is because everyone around him is on edge. Like, all of the officers you can see, like, on the Star Destroyer, you can see are just waiting for him to lose his cool and, like, just force chokes and
want to make a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, the promotions rate in the Empire must be ridiculously high because people are just getting made Admiral left, right, and centre.
Admiral. It's great.
But yeah, I think in this one, I think Vader does become a real force to be reckoned with. Yeah. No, I do think, he does lean into the voice performance from James L. Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is more kind of, he has more of a physical presence because he knows that, well, David Prowse knows that is what his job is in this one, just to be the physical presence. And I think he does a good job of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Darth, his troopers aren't very good, are they?
Stormtroopers.
You know, these
they are notoriously
stormtroopers
crap.
are combat trained, and 5 men at one point are trying to hide behind one concrete pillar. They fire off shots left, right, and centre. Not one laser ever hits.
Well, I don't know if this is something I mentioned either in the first episode or to you in general, but do you know what a popular internet theory is about the Stormtroopers? That they're not as bad a shot as you think.
See, this theory only works for the first film, though.
But it does only work for the first film. The theory is that they don't hit their mark because they're told not to. They're told, don't kill him because Vader knows who he is. He knows how important he is, so he doesn't want Luke dead.
Yeah, and in the first film, it's even Leia says, we escaped because they wanted us to, and it turns out the planet is a tracker.
Yeah. So, it's a nice little theory to have, but yeah.
He says it again in this film, doesn't he? When
prepare to bomb the ship and set your
lasers to stun.
Yeah. But over the years, Stormtroopers have become notorious for their terrible aim.
Yeah.
Like, Stormtrooper aim is...
It's like the original Minions at times, are like bumping into one another, and like I say, 5 of them hiding behind one concrete pillar, taking shots.
Yeah. while we're still sort of on like Vader and that, I found this interesting that Vader sarcastically inviting Han to join us for dinner is the only line Vader speaks directly at Han in the entire Star Wars trilogy.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's how interesting.
That's quite interesting. Two of the bigger characters of the franchise, and they don't even really have any dialogue between each other. It's just one of them saying one line.
Very interesting. The only other thing I will say that kind of became a bit prominent in this film for me, and maybe it was me looking into it a bit much, but it's actually the performance of Frank Oz as Yoda, doing all the puppetry and the voice for him. There is actually a moment, and it never really dawned on me until watching it this time, but there's actually a moment where you see him stop being the goofy Yoda.
Yeah, and he switches.
And he becomes that serious Yoda. It never really clicked to me before until this one. It's that moment where he stood in his hut, I don't know if he stood at his bed or whatever. It's just kind of the way he stands him up and just kind of all of a sudden becomes... It's weird to say in a puppet, but the puppet becomes serious. And he's like, right, I'm stop messing around now. I'm going to tell this kid like it is. You're not going to survive.
Yes, because
it's just dawned on me on this one.
The very first sentence in his voicing as well.
Yeah.
If you had your eyes closed, it's Miss Piggy. And then he sort of comes away from it.
It's funny you should speak about Miss Piggy. Because when Mark Hamill was having trouble with the Dagobah scene with Yoda, Frank Oz brought in Miss Piggy to make him laugh.
There you go.
But no, I do get what you mean completely. Yeah, it's when he starts talking to Obi-Wan, saying that he can't train him. Yeah, and his demeanour does completely change.
Yeah, I don't know if they changed puppet or what. I don't know if they had one that maybe looked a bit more serious somehow. I don't know if that is. But it just did feel like that this time.
I just think it's a credit, because as far as I'm aware, it is just the one puppet. And I think it is a credit to Jim Henson, who did make it, who was originally going to play Yoda, but then I think there was scheduling conflicts, so he recommended Frank Oz for the role. But I do think it is a credit to the puppet work that you don't really see, well, at least I don't, if you don't see him as a puppet, he does feel alive, his movements seem real, and like the change of character, him going from that like kind of goofy little weird alien thing, which is sort of just kind of to see who Luke is really, and then becoming the serious Jedi Master, I do think that's what sells it.
Yeah.
Because if he carried on with that demeanour he has at the beginning, I don't think audiences would have bought him as
being a master.
Yeah, as a Jedi Master. I think he would have just come across as comic relief. Would have had a Jar Jar Binks on our hands, but pre-Jar Jar Binks. But no, I think the performance by Frank Oz, and I think it's 3 people working the Yoda puppet.
I think
I don't know if Frank is included in those 3 people, but I think it's a detriment to their performance that they got such a good performance out of a puppet.
Yeah. That's it. They're the only things really that I stick out in my mind right now.
Any like scenes that you particularly enjoyed? Oh god.
Best bits I think was, I said it in the first episode, C-3PO is just a douchebag and he still annoys me in this film to the point where I get so wound up with him. I hate that character. So the best bits is when Layla tells him to shut up, 2, she switches him off, and then 3, gets blown up by the Stormtroopers, sorry.
Yeah.
Then the worst bits is when Chewie puts him back together, and then also James, throughout the movie, there was some douchebag rattling mints in the background, weren't they?
Always.
But they was the best bits.
Well, as we make our way through these films, you will be happy to know that C-3PO is one of the 2 characters who appears in nearly every single one of them.
Oh, great.
Yes.
I mean, he isn't in Solo, so if we ever get to that, you'll be alright.
It's a long way down the line. The only other thing, actually, that sticks out in my mind is, again, never really realised it until watching this one, the bounty hunter.
Yeah, they never refer to him as...
They never refer to him by his name.
Nope.
I don't know if I should say it. Is it...
No, because it's Boba Fett.
It's on...
Boba Fett, the one who actually captures Han and follows him.
Does he, though?
Well, it follows him. Definitely
He
follows
follows
him.
him.
Definitely follows
But
him.
capture-
It's just again one of those things that it only clicked this time. He always is referred to as the bounty hunter, and I'm always waiting for them to go Boba Fett. Oh no, it never happened.
This
Oh,
isn't
it never
his first
happened.
appearance either. There was like an animated series that came out before this, and that was the first time Boba Fett shows up. But yeah, something you will come to realise, especially in the next one, even though Boba Fett is like one of the most recognisable characters, people think he's like really cool. In the films, he is an incredibly terrible bounty hunter. Like, he does barely anything, and when he does do stuff, like I say, especially in the next one, he's just bad at it.
Just bad.
But he's become known over the years as this like really cool bounty hunter. But in the films themselves, there is extra like media, like books and comics and stuff, where he is really badass. In the films, he doesn't really do anything.
Just awkwardly comes out from behind that column. He's going.
Yeah, he
I
was just
thought it
stood
was
waiting
really,
there.
really awkward when you watch that back.
There's a little conversation before, and Vader's just like, no, just stand next to me. He's like, no, I
stand.
want a dramatic entrance.
So there we are.
But no, I like I've said many times in this episode already, I love Empire. It is my favourite. I do think it's the best of the original trilogy. I think it's the best of all of them. I think you get the best performances, especially out the three main cast in this. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. And James, apparently.
Yeah, I was fantastic in that film.
But no, I do think this is really good. I do think it stepped it up a notch in a way that kind of elevated the franchise. And I'm aware a big part of my love for it is probably nostalgia. Well, no, it's definitely nostalgia at this point. But no, I really liked it, and my biggest worry after this was Sean was going to be like, no, it was crap.
No, it was crap. It was alright. Things happen like sabers, whoosh, shoot, pew, pew. Nothing blew up.
No, I enjoyed it much more than
You enjoyed it
the
much.
first
Then
one.
the first one.
Well, it's not the first episode, but you know what I mean.
Well, it is. Right. Yeah. So this was something James was going to tell you beforehand. I figured I'd leave it for here. Before filming Empire, Mark Hamill was in a car accident. Yeah, it was a car accident.
Yeah.
I have it written in front of me. I don't know why I'm questioning. Yeah, so he was in a car accident and he ended up with quite bad facial injuries. I don't know why I can't say that word. So he had to have like a plastic surgery to recover it. So it did kind of change his appearance a bit, to the point of where apparently at one point they were going to maybe recast Luke. Never happened. But it is often quoted. It's a myth. It's never been like confirmed. But a lot of people do believe that the bit where the Wampa, the like Yeti thing, attacks him, you'll notice he gets immediately, his face gets all bloody and stuff. People think that was added in to kind of give an in-world explanation of why Mark Hamill looks slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, it's never been confirmed by anyone, but a lot of people do think that that's why that specifically happens. But yeah, I mean, I can see that being the case. That Wampa attack was probably already in there.
Yeah.
All you had to do to add to that scene was, oh well, we'll just put cuts on his face.
Yeah.
So.
Again, I only wanted to point out in case you were sat there thinking, hold on, he didn't really look like Luke from before. And I just thought I'd mention.
I don't think he looks as different as a lot of people make it
I
out to
didn't
be.
think so.
doesn't,
all that.
but
He looks-
over the years I've seen like just images of him from A New Hope and this one. I'm like, oh god, he does look different in some instances.
See, I
think it's just
he
'cause he's
makes him-
matured more.
Yeah, I think he
It's
looks
only 2 years,
older.
but yeah.
I think he looks older, and that probably is kind also down to the fact that his face has physically changed due to the accident. But yeah, all I think it is still indistinguishably Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But he I don't think he looks different enough. Like, if we hadn't have said anything, I don't think Sean would have noticed.
No.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Any last thoughts before we close it out?
great film, great poster for Empire.
Based on the Gone with the Wind
Yes,
poster.
fantastic poster. Always loved that.
Yes.
But yeah, I hope you're looking forward to Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll get to that in like 5
5
months' time.
Exactly, yeah. Did the name give you an inkling at all as to what was going to happen? Because it's if you take Star Wars away and you just look at a film called Empire Strikes Back, you think, it's going to be very dominant to one side as to what happened.
No, not really.
No, fair enough then. Fair enough. Because it's a big thing now, isn't it? Like what the subtitle is of a Star Wars film,
Yeah.
Like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So,
But just mentioning The Last Jedi real quick, because I meant to mention it when we was on about Yoda. This is the thing of, like, this is nothing to do with Empire, really. But, like, people criticised Yoda in The Last Jedi, saying that he was acting real goofy, and I never understood that criticism. Because the first time Yoda shows up in any Star Wars film, he's
really
acting
goofy.
really goofy.
He's really goofy.
So, yeah. That's just my little add-on rant. Not really to do with this film.
But there you go.
Yeah.
What did he do with the torch in the end?
What?
What did he do with the torch in the end?
I just got light in his room, ain't it?
Yeah.
Well, you can't light candles all the time, can you?
No, I suppose not.
But yeah, I think that's it for this episode. So that's episode 6 of Films I Should Have Seen Done. If you didn't read my blog post about it, all these episodes are now available on the Films I Should Have Seen SoundCloud page. If you go to Ross Reviews, on the Films I Should Have Seen page, there is a link to our YouTube channel and SoundCloud, so you can get them both there. So if you did want to listen to these while you're at work, you can. Alright, and speak to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.